I am your host, KC Phoenix, and this is my daily thought, which is, of course, as I have said before, a supplement to Keeping It Real with KC. The Keeping It Real with KC show is a weekend show, and those episodes usually happen on the weekend, but I do daily thoughts throughout the week to, I guess, let people know what's on my mind and to give my listeners and my viewers, but mostly listeners, because I seem to have more listeners listening to the podcast, giving them a little bit more. And, oh boy, I won't be looking at the camera as much. Usually I focus on looking at the camera. My mind is clear. My mind is clear. My sinuses are still driving me a little crazy. I think I'm going to have to go to an ENT and have them check this out. Because, yeah, but one thing I promised myself and a promise I made to the universe, I was like, if I can just get better after the mono incident, if I can just get better, regardless of how I feel, I will always do the show. I'll always put up content if I can just get better. And I've gotten better. I still have my issues from what was left over from the mono, but I've gotten better. And even on the days where I might feel a little bit drained by energy, which part of this is my fault, because before it, I could stay up at 1 a.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. and it wouldn't affect me any. But during and after the mono, I usually have to be in bed by 9 p.m., 9:30-ish. But for the past 2 nights, I've been up around 10:30-ish. And I know some people listening or watching is like 10:30. That's not late at all. For me, it is. But I was thinking about what I would talk about. And for one of my thoughts, I was like, oh, being in love. Because love is something that people are obsessed with. One thing I noticed, because for those of you who may just now be tuning in, I watch a lot of tarot card readings because they're very interesting. I take what resonates, I leave what doesn't, and that's what they always say. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And that's what I can say about this particular show with Keeping It Real with KC. With anything I say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. You may not always agree with what I say. But one thing I noticed with the tarot card readings, there are a bunch of love readings, like video after video after video. And usually I'm not concerned about love. At least I'm not in that love mindset at the moment. The only mindset I'm in is maintaining my health and making sure that my health is good, and then making sure it evolves to excellent health, and maintaining my money and making sure that's good and evolves to excellent. When it comes to love, love is the last thing on my mind. I hadn't even put myself out there. I still get approached and everything like that, but I don't pay it any attention. I really don't. I was actually checking my other phone the other day and I was looking at some messages and I'm just like, ugh. I don't pay it any attention. But when I'm dealing with love, when I'm in love, that's a different story. Now, being in love and loving someone are two different things. I didn't realize how that was until, when did I meet him? I'm thinking, hold on, I'm thinking, I'm going back. I feel like this was before I went to Amsterdam. So that was 2000. I'm thinking out loud. I feel like I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. You know how they talk when the question is asked, they have to talk through the answer out loud. It's one of those moments that's going on right now. I went to Amsterdam, I think it was 2006. So I'm pretty sure I had to meet him either 2006 or maybe 2005-ish, but I'm thinking 2006-ish. I was talking to my business partner at the time when I dealt with travel, and her and I had a discussion, and being in love came up, and I said to her, I was like, well, how do you know? And she's like, you just know. And I'm like, but how? She's like, you just know. I'm like, okay. And then we discuss things when it comes to a relationship and how people may not like certain habits of another person. And I brought up some of the things that I didn't care for at the time, because it's different now, because as I mentioned, I said it before, I'll say it again. As our lives change, so do our needs. So at the time, certain things I brought up, she said, well, when you're in love, that stuff isn't going to matter anyway, is what she told me. And I was like, well, it's going to matter to me. It'll matter to me. And she said, no, it won't. Not if you fall in love. She said, no, it won't. And strangely, because up to that point, if we go by 2006, we're in 2020. How can I forget what year we're in with the type of year that we have had? Even though my 2020 actually hasn't been that bad when you think about it. But so let's say 14 years ago, 41 minus 14, 27. Okay. So 27, up to 27 years in my life, I had never been in love before. So I didn't know. And her and I had this conversation. Probably a few months later, I meet someone and I got my first taste. I don't mean for that to be a double entendre. But I got my first taste of love, of being in love. I wasn't head over heels in love, but I got my first taste of being in love. To this day, I still remember his first, middle, and last name, CEW. His birthday is February 25th. And it was an experience. It was an interesting first time experience. And some of the things that I thought I cared about, I didn't care about as much when I was with this individual. Sadly, this individual wasn't looking for love. It was more of a physical type thing. But me, being my true astrological sign, a true Cancerian, a Cancer, I was somewhat clingy. And once it was made clear that he wasn't interested in that, I was so heartbroken. So heartbroken. I was listening to, and I wish I knew when the song came out, because it happened, I was listening to a Tony Braxton song. I want to say it was Stupid or whatever. It might have been that. Not fully sure. But I know it was a Tony Braxton song. And I just thought that, oh, well, I'll never meet anybody else again, and da-da-da-da-da. You know how the whole thing goes. Which, by the way, if you're new to the podcast or watching this on YouTube or Daily Motion, you should check out the episode, You Have More Than One Soulmate. So there's your silver lining right there. All right. So that was my first little taste. As I said before, I wasn't head over heels in love, but there were in love traces there. I got the idea of what my friend was talking about, my business partner. So later on, I meet someone else, and as time went on, because it started off as a physical with this other person, it started off as a physical, and the reason it was interesting is because the first time we met during, this is TMI for some people, during relations, we were laughing about certain things. We were having conversations about stuff. And then we start laughing. And then we stop, talk, and then start again, da 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 da. You know how that works. And I had never had that happen, but I wasn't aware of the relationship, the attachment I was building with the individual, and vice versa. He wasn't aware of it either. And as time went on, feelings started to grow more and more. And I realized, okay, well, I do love this person. And then as time went on, I was like, okay, it's more serious on my end. But alas, on his end, it wasn't as serious. So that I didn't cry as much or anything like that. And the weird thing is that I knew he became serious sort of after the fact. Or let me rephrase. I need to, hold on. We're going to rewind that. Rewind it. Okay. He didn't realize that he loved me until after the fact. I knew he did. And the day it happened, I'll never forget it. He was leaving my apartment, and I was sitting on the couch because we just finished playing PS3 or something, and he was getting ready to leave. And I was sitting on the couch, and he was getting ready to leave, and then he leans in to kiss me, but instead of kissing me on the lips, he kissed me on the forehead. And I just picked it up right then and there. I was like, he loves me. He didn't realize he did, but he did at the time. As time went on, of course, it still wasn't a balanced type of thing because he didn't realize what his feelings were. I knew what mine were, and it just wasn't coming together. So we remained friends, and that was sort of that. But after I moved on, that's when he realized, oh, I loved him. And then also, that's when I realized I didn't just love him, I was in love with him. So still not balanced because he loved me, but he wasn't in love with me. And I was in love with him. So yeah, time went on. So the third and final time that I've been in love, as soon as I saw this person's picture, I said, wow, I can see myself married to that person. As soon as I saw his picture, I'm like, I can see myself married to him. We hadn't met in person. So then we meet in person. Also, birthday in February. All three of these guys, ironically, February 25th, February 17th, and February the 11th. I don't know what it is about people in February. One Pisces, two Aquarius. And the Aquarians, they usually don't realize they love someone until after they're gone. So if you're an Aquarius, get it together. All right. Back to the story. And so for the third person, I knew right then and there when I had seen the picture. Then we met, and there was a lot of chemistry on all levels. So then that happened. We had a relationship, broke up, had a relationship again, broke up, but have been on and off for almost 6 years now, 5 or 6 years now. And now it's definitely off, is what it is. And I believe he's still interested, but I'm just not in that space right now. I'm not in that space. And I've honestly moved on. It's more of I've fallen out of love. I still love him, but I've moved on. But he asked me the same question. Because he was like, well, how do you know that you're in love with me? How do you know that you love me? I was like, you just know. Okay. So now that I've given you the breakdown of my 3 in loves, I'm going to tell you how I personally feel like I know. And this is one thing. I think about the worst case scenario. Because when things are based off of physical attraction, when things are based off of relations, sometimes you can mix up lust and love, or sometimes you can have a combination of lust and love. And you can love someone and lust for someone, but not be in love with someone. So just like third person, I still love him, just not in love anymore. All right. But when it comes to being in love, I think about if the worst were to happen, would I still want to be with the person? Meaning, if they became incapacitated and I had to take care of them the rest of their lives, like they ended up in a wheelchair or something crazy, where we could no longer have physical relations, would I still want to be with the individual? If the answer is yes to that question, that's in love for me. Because physical connection, relations can play a huge role in relationships. And to still want to be with someone because they make you that happy where you don't care about the physical anymore, that's being in love. If they were to gain 20 pounds or lose 50 pounds or whatever, if something were to change, would I still want to be with that person? If they have crazy in-laws that have a ridiculous amount of drama, so much drama, they make Jerry Springer look like the Leave It to Beaver or whatever, or the Brady Bunch. Only two things of clean cut, non-drama type stuff that I can think of off the top of my head. And no, I don't watch Brady Bunch. I haven't watched Brady Bunch episodes or Leave It to Beaver. I did watch Donna Reed though. Donna Reed was awesome. I watched it on Nick at Night. Just things that would usually send somebody running for the hills. If I find myself willing to stay during all of that, more than likely, I'm in love. And I would guess that if you find yourself willing to stay during all of that, more than likely you're in love too. It's almost where some people are in relationships where they know someone cheats, they're a cheater, and they keep on taking the cheater back. It could be a possibility, because it's not always. But I'm saying it could be a possibility that individual is just in love. They're in love. Also, it could be a possibility that the sex is just really, really good and they're just like, okay, I'm not about to let this good go. Whatever. To each his own. But I usually go with the incapacitated one. That's the one I usually think about. And also, I visualize what I could see in the future with that individual. What is the potential down the line? If I see there's a lot of potential, if I get that vibe, then that's another thing that kind of excites me. If I get excited and I'm like, oh wow, I can really see us building something together, that starts to creep into the in love territory too. Because usually you can sometimes tell, not sometimes, no. Most of the time, you can usually tell where the road will go with someone, or how far the road is capable of going. You'll know most of the time when dealing with someone if you're going to get off at the first exit, or if this is just going to be a trip for the long haul. If the potential is there, is what I'm talking about. If the potential is there and you're just like, nope, this is just going to be a one night thing or a 1 hour thing. Because some people, they don't even want to be bothered. After whatever happens, get out. So, yeah. But for me, it's usually if I can still see myself with them, if they're incapacitated. That's the biggest one. If you can't see yourself with someone when they're incapacitated, where you can't have that physical connection or the physical relations with someone, more than likely you're not in love. And that's just my personal opinion. I don't know everything. I know a few things. According to the people who know me, they say I know a lot, but I just Google every damn thing. But I do know that from my personal point of view. If you can't see yourself with someone for the rest of your life, then more than likely you're not in love. Also, for me, another thing that just something else just came to me too. Another thing is I'm not, I don't want to say I'm not attracted, but I'm not interested, if that makes sense, to anybody else or in anybody else. Meaning, I might find someone, if I'm in love with someone and we're in a relationship, like I'll just use my previous person, my ex, when I was with him, when I was in love with him, yeah, I would find some people attractive, but I wouldn't care. I didn't have any interest in them. And even when people still approached me, it's just like, and these are very, these are good looking people. So, because I'm not like bragging or anything, but I mean, hey, I got a little bit of an ego. I got some good attributes. So, yeah, I mean, I've been approached before while I was in a relationship, but I didn't, even though there was some attraction, I didn't have an interest because I was in love, because my love was real. And that's another thing. When people say they have to do all of this stuff and do all these techniques and everything else to keep themselves out of trouble, I feel, and this is another personal opinion of mine, it's my personal opinion, we're all individuals. I feel if you're truly in love with someone, it doesn't matter if whatever you're attracted to, gay, straight, bi, tri, whatever. If the hottest of the hot gets naked in front of you, you might find them attractive, but you won't be interested. Finding someone attractive and being interested are two different things. It's like, oh, they're hot. All right, let me go home to the one I love, the one I'm in love with. So that's how I look at things with being in love. And there's other little things too, but this is already going close to 30 minutes. I didn't even think it would be this long. I really, really didn't. But yeah, and it didn't even dawn on me until today that the 3 that I've been in love with are all born in February out of all months. But also Valentine's Day is in February. So, who knows? But yeah, I've loved a lot of people. I've loved a lot of people. But I've only been in love 3 times. That's it. I've loved at least 2 or 3 dozen people. Because I've dated a lot throughout my lifetime. But being in love, I've only been in love 3 times. So yeah, that is how I know when I'm in love. Those are the things I look for. Again, we're all individuals. Your wants and needs are your wants and needs. My wants and needs are my wants and needs. But I'm just telling you, these are some of the things that you may want to think about if you're contemplating on if you're in love with someone or not. And that's all I have. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I appreciate everyone who's been supporting the show. It really, really means a lot to me. And I know I say that at the end of every Daily Thought or at the end of every Keeping It Real with KC episode. I sincerely mean it every time I say it. I don't take any of my listeners for granted. None. I don't care what country you're in. Whether you're in the United States, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in Israel, wherever you're at, and you listen to the show, I don't take you for granted. And I appreciate you more than you know. KIRWKC.com is the main podcasting platform. KIRWKC on Twitter. KIRWKC on Instagram. Facebook.com/KIRWKC. YouTube, KIRWKC. Subscribe, followed by the notification bell to know when I upload Daily Motion, KIRWKC. And you can subscribe. Thank you again. Be blessed.